It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Here I am, folks. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you along. This is episode number 224 of my podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Plus, Google Play, Patreon, YouTube, Player FM, a bunch of different sites. All you got to do is Google it. If you have an Alexa, just say, Alexa, play the Rob Carson Show podcast. Now, of course, those of you who are watching on Liberty One TV, you get the gift of being able to see me in my glorious studio. Ta-da! You'll see I got a new wreath behind me there. Festive garb in the well, I should say decorations in the studio today. And I will continue to do so through Christmas Day. Thank you very much. If you're not a member of Liberty One, I'd really appreciate it if you'd become a part of Liberty One TV. It would be a great Christmas present for yourself or someone else. And it also is a marvelous Christmas gift for those of us who are on Liberty One TV. Please become a member. We've got about 400,000 views of this show every month. Let's get that to 1 million. I promise you I'll make it worth your while. All right? Thanks for joining me, guys. Do appreciate it. Let's get to what's in the news today, shall we? There was an Amtrak crash in Washington State, by the way. And they're still kind of counting the casualties. We don't know exactly what happened or why it happened. Apparently, the train was going 80 miles an hour. So hopes and thoughts and prayers with those who were on the train or on the interstate below the train track that the train fell onto. So, I want to mention Joe DiGenova. He was on Tucker Carlson's show on Friday talking about the plot to essentially take down Donald Trump as the president of the United States. And that's what this has become. That's what this Robert Mueller investigation has become. It is a plot to take down the president of the United States. It was a plot during the election to throw a wrench in Donald Trump's election. Then it became an attempt to disrupt the transition. Then it became an out-and-out, and it is an out-and-out plot to basically do a bloodless coup with regard to this president. That's what this is all about. Yeah, the FBI working with the Hillary Clinton campaign, the DOJ, and Barack Obama's White House, working together, paying for a dossier to take to a FISA court so they could wiretap Donald Trump's campaign. Donald Trump said that Trump Tower had been wiretapped. Everybody laughed at him. Everybody laughed at him. He was 100% right. 100% right. You had Peter Strzok and his lover exchanging text messages. Peter Strzok talking about how he had tools at his disposal to take down this president. You've got 9 prosecutors on Robert Mueller's team that are pro-Democrat, pro-Hillary Clinton donors. It's a sham. It's a scandal. It's not a kangaroo court. It's a kangaroo investigation. It's a joke. Joe DiGenova talking to Tucker Carlson on Friday with some of the details.
So to this investigation, you obviously have conducted investigations. When you did you ever stack them with prosecutors who were personally hostile to the person being investigated?
No, and let me just say this right now, Tucker. What you have now unfolding inside the FBI and the Department of Justice under Obama is a brazen plot to do 2 things: to exonerate Hillary Clinton because of an animus toward Donald Trump, and then if she lost, to frame the incoming president for either a criminal act or impeachment. This is one of the most disgusting performances by the senior officials at the FBI and the Department of Justice, and it demands that every one of these agents involved be fired, and that the people who are still in the Justice Department be fired, including Mr. Orr, and that they impanel a federal grand jury to investigate the conduct of McCabe and Strzok and Page and Comey and Orr and everybody in the Obama Justice Department who even touched this, because it's very clear
Unreal.
They conspired to frame the incoming president of the United States. And it's a frightening and disgusting prospect that FBI officials, senior FBI officials, would do this. And those text messages are frightening.
They are absolutely frightening. So far, we've just seen 350 of 10,000 of them. This was a plot. This is a plot to take down a president. I have never seen anything so nakedly political in my life. I've been following politics for at least half of my life. I've never seen anything like this. And if the shoe were on the other foot, and this were a Democrat president, and this was a Republican prosecutor, and a Republican team, and a Republican FBI director, man, the world would be upside down right now. Here's a little bit more from Joe DiGenova Friday.
We know that then-Director Comey had written the speech he subsequently gave in July of 2016, 2 months before, in which he exonerated Hillary Clinton,
right,
before which he'd even interviewed her or a dozen.
Jim Comey had exonerated Hillary Clinton completely of all guilt with regard to her email server, with regard to everything, before the investigation even began. The SOB is a political tool.
Of her top aides. Is that unusual to come to a conclusion like that, she's innocent, before even interviewing her? That seems odd.
It is not only extremely unusual, it's never happened before.
Thank you.
James Comey threw the case against Hillary Clinton in conjunction with senior FBI officials and Justice Department officials in the Obama administration at the time. It's never done. Comey sold his soul to the devil. Believe me, you cannot believe the telephone calls we're getting from current FBI people about how they cannot abide by what's going on. And one thing they can't understand is, why is Andrew McCabe still at Christopher Wray's right hand inside the senior offices of the FBI? I mean, McCabe and Strzok and Page are all out of the same cloth. They conspired to exonerate improperly and politically Hillary Clinton, and also, if she lost, to frame the incoming president of the United States with a false crime. This is a constitutional crisis.
Thank you.
And Congress better stay on it until they get all the answers, and then there needs to be a grand jury.
Absolutely. This was about covering up Hillary Clinton's Russia dealings, pinning some sort of Russia collusion story on Donald Trump as a distraction from that to tie Donald Trump to the Russians, even though Hillary Clinton was clearly in bed with them. Really ugly picture, by the way. And then once Hillary Clinton lost, to go after Donald Trump's new presidency and destroy it. That's what's going on here, folks. And we were warning people about it. There were people warning Barack Obama staying in Washington, D.C. for a reason. A disruptor, as someone who wants to continue to rule there. No other president, well, at least in recent time, has decided to stay in Washington, D.C., and there's one reason for it. Barack Obama wants to maintain some reins on power in the city, wants to preserve his legacy, wants to destroy his enemies. That's what it's all about, kids. That's what it's all about. Donald Trump has ordered that climate change be removed as a national security threat. Thank you very much. Eliminating climate change for a list of national security threats, a national security strategy to be released today, will emphasize the importance of balancing energy security and economic development and environmental protection. According to a source who has seen the document and shared experts with the late draft. Climate policies will continue to shape the global energy system. U.S. leadership is indispensable in countering anti-growth energy agenda that is detrimental to the U.S. economic and energy security interests. Given future global energy demand, much of the developing world will require fossil fuels, thank you, as well as other forms of energy to power their economies and lift their people out of poverty. President Obama made climate change and the burdensome regulations that accompany its focus, primary focus of his administration, including national security. This is a quote from the Obama administration. In some ways, climate change is akin to the problem of terrorism and ISIL. Only Barack Obama called it ISIL. Today, there's no greater threat to our planet than climate change. Nah, not really. President Obama released a memorandum requiring federal agencies to consider the effects of climate change in the development of national security-related doctrine, policies, and plans. Well, you know what? Screw you, buddy. Screw you. You want to know the quickest way to warm up the globe? Or at least a part of it? Have North Korea launch a missile with a nuclear warhead on it at Hawaii or San Francisco or South Korea. That's global warming. You zero to the surface of the sun in about a millisecond. Let's talk a little bit about sexual harassment, shall we? NBC made a payment to a staffer after sexual harassment claims against Chris Matthews. They paid about $40,000 is what apparently it was supposed to have been paid out. An MSNBC spokesman contested the claim, saying that they paid significantly less as part of a severance package. The woman complained to CNBC executives about Matthews making inappropriate comments and jokes about her while in the company of others. That's worth $40,000, right? Apparently, based on people who were involved in the matter, the network concluded that the comments were inappropriate and juvenile, but were not intended to be taken as propositions. The woman received a separation-related compensation when she left MSNBC and has gone on to work at a number of high-profile media positions. MSNBC has declined to comment on whether the employee left because of Matthews or whether this was the only claim in Matthews' history at the company. So who knows? Sounds like just being a dipwad. Sounds like he's just being a dipwad. Fox News in the crosshairs, and does it surprise you? I mean, I like Fox News. Don't get me wrong. I watch Fox News. But anybody who's ever watched Fox News in the last 5-10 years, Fox News is known for its hot women on television. Hot women in very, very tight outfits. Come on, right? Compare Fox News to MSNBC, all right? I used to comment about Outnumbered. It's a midday show. And it's 4 absolutely drop-dead gorgeous women wearing very short skirts, very tight outfits, and one doofy guy in the middle. It's called Outnumbered. They used to always put Andrea Tantaros on the right side as you face the screen. You know, buxom, cleavage, legs, lips. Come on, man. You know why you watch Fox News. It wasn't just because it was conservative, and conservatism is a great thing when considering it's the only media outlet that essentially does that on television. There are also unbelievably gorgeous women on there, and everybody talks about it. There are countless websites talking about it. Did you notice that a lot of women have just disappeared from Fox News? Now, I kind of noticed this beginning a while back. Andrea Tantaros, where the hell did she go? She gone. Not so much, but Juliette Huddy, who actually did an internship at the radio station I started at in Columbia, Missouri. That aside. Juliette Huddy, she gone. Jedediah Bila, gone. Tamara Holder, gone. She's a liberal. She's gone. Well, Tamara Holder's pissed. She says that she was harassed majorly. I'm going to share her story in just a second. She was on talking with Brian Stelter of CNN. Juliette Huddy warned in a social media post over the weekend, bombshell revelations about complicit Fox News executives are forthcoming. She wrote, TikTok, everyone who's not covered up for sexual harassers, predators, and believe me, I don't use this word lightly, but were themselves about to be exposed. These are the men and women working at Fox News who actively engaged in sexual harassment and or subsequent cover-up. They occupy some of the, if not the highest positions. I know other women were targeted because of these people, several of whom are part of my own experience. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, owner, dismissed the cultural sexual misconduct and said that the incidences were nonsense and isolated. That's what really apparently set Huddy off, and also Tamara Holder. And again, I'll share her audio in a second. Huddy further explained, it's ironic that O'Reilly, Murdoch, and others have suggested that I, along with other accusers, are part of some left-wing conspiracy. I'm fiscally conservative, socially liberal, so let's just get that out of the way. Based on everything I have seen and has been reported, the participants in this, the grand conspiracy, are the executives at Fox News. And here's what Rupert Murdoch had to say on Friday about sexual harassment at Fox.
There was a problem with our chief executive, over the years, but isolated instance. As soon as we investigated, he was out of the place in hours. Well, 3 or 4 days. There's been nothing else since then. Now, of course, but that was largely political because we're conservative.
I guess we was talking about Roger Ailes there. Now Roger Ailes has passed away.
Well, the Liberals are going down the drain. NBC's in deep trouble. CBS, their stars. I think it's a very interesting subject we go into at length. There are really bad cases that people should be moved aside. And there are other things.
But did it
which probably amount to a bit of flirting,
But it would amount to a bit of flirting. Well, don't tell Tamara Holder that, because she went through some stuff at Fox News. And it sounds like it's provable. She was paid out. If I'm not mistaken, I think she was paid out to the tune of a couple $1 million. But she's no longer with the network. Here is her talking with Brian Stelter on CNN this weekend.
Well, thank you for having me here, and I also want to thank Yashar Ali for his story where he got all of many of us to speak out. I want to be very clear here. I would not have been able to be sitting here to say what I'm about to say if it wasn't for Mr. Murdoch and what he said, because my settlement, in exchange for money, I had to agree to be quiet, except if I was disparaged or maligned. And because Mr. Murdoch said what he said, that 60 seconds has allowed me to speak out. So what I would like to do, this is not fake news. I want to go through the fake facts that Mr. Murdoch spouted out in that 60 minutes. Well, thank you for having me here.
Okay, so there was the beginning of it. This is a woman who claims she has not been able to find a job because of what happened at Fox News. And all she wanted to do, like so many women in any industry, just trying to work.
Well, we don't need to name names. We all know that it wasn't just Roger. He said nothing more since then. That's a lie. We also know that Bill O'Reilly paid $30+ million to somebody. And then, of course, they rehired him after that. Largely political. I want to say something. I gave up my law practice to go to Fox News in New York, to work for Fox News as a Democrat, to be a sports commentator, a legal commentator, all of those things. I wasn't planted by Hillary Clinton or Nancy Pelosi. None of us were. We just wanted to work. And when we came out and spoke out, this had nothing to do with politics. This had to do with something that Mr. Murdoch knows every day, and that's called rights. He has rights. He's not worried about anything. He has all the money in the world. He's cool. He has billions. We just wanted to work. That's all we've ever wanted to do was work. And it has nothing to do with politics.
Think about it. I mean, think about all the women who've come and gone from Fox News. I just mentioned the names. It's kind of, don't you think it's kind of strange? And then Bill O'Reilly pays $30 million. What do you pay $30 million for? Chris Matthews supposedly paid $45,000. John Conyers, $27,000. $30 million. $30 million. What does $30 million do? I think it keeps you out of jail. That's what I think. Here's a little bit more about from Tamara Holder with regard to an executive, Francisco Cortez, vice president of Fox News Latino. This is the person she's talking about here.
He says that there were cases that amounted to flirting. Let me be clear. I had a man pull out his penis in his office and shove my head on it. That was not flirting.
Wow.
That was criminal. That was not sexual harassment. There are no, gray areas, whatever Matt Damon recently said. This is criminal. And I'm not the only case. There are just women who can't speak out.
Now, you would assume, since there was some sort of a payment involved, that there's a record of this. that there's a record of this, that there was some sort of, note, some sort of a, like I said, record of it kept. Here's a little bit more from Tamara Holder about now what she faces after getting booted from Fox, getting a payout.
There's something else about my agreement, and they'll probably sue me. My agreement said that I couldn't ever apply for a job at any Fox News corporation. I could never work for Fox News or any other place that Fox News owned. Here in Chicago, Fox News owns media entities, or 21st Century Fox. So I am now being punished on top of not having a career in TV. I can't even apply for a job because he allowed me to be abused in his workplace and didn't protect me. And I can't work anywhere now. There's something wrong with me. It's just pain on top of pain on top of pain. And then for him to say something like that, that's just so dismissive. There's so many women, Brian, who are hurting. We just want to work.
Wow.
I had to do an MDMA illegal therapy to deal with my PTSD because I couldn't function. And thankfully it's helped me, but I just want to work. Why is he denying this? If he and Bill O'Reilly and everybody else, Bill O'Reilly's on Twitter saying this is political, that's their new line. If this is political, then let's take these cases to trial. I'm down. Let's open it up. You're the ones that wanted to settle. You're the ones that wanted us to be quiet.
I think just hearing the desperation in her voice it's sad. Jobs are few and far between in broadcasting. And when you're being intentionally shut out after being harassed like this, this is just unbelievable. It's got to be soul-crushing for her. And regardless of her politics, it's awful. It's awful. Now, this isn't part of the hashtag Me Too movement. Her dismissal happened a while ago. But she obviously is still suffering because of it. And I think it's sad. Gretchen Carlson, you seen Gretchen Carlson lately, America's Mom? No, she's gone. Have you heard anything from Andrea Tantaros? Not a single thing. She had a book that came out last year. I had her on my radio program. Haven't heard a single thing from Andrea Tantaros. A little bit from Juliette Huddy, as we heard over the weekend. I don't know, man. Hillary Clinton appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show. She's still bitching and complaining because she lost the election. She never is willing to admit, what an absolutely crappy candidate was. Here she is talking about all the issues that cost her the election on Friday.
I knew there were certain factors at work, and after the election, I learned a lot more about the impact that they had. It was a perfect storm. There were a lot of currents of resentment and anger about all kinds of things in the country. Yeah.
Let's see. 8 years of a president, zero economic growth, massive increases in the number of people on food stamps, wages stagnant. You had massive overregulation. No really good jobs being created. Manufacturing in the tank. An attack on fossil fuel, the fossil fuel industry. Yeah, there was some angst. People between the bookends of depravity, Washington, D.C. and Hollywood, were suffering, you idiot.
There was a lot of sexism and misogyny.
That's bullshit. You know what? Just bullshit. God, I'm so tired of you. You wretched, awful woman. It's not 1909 all over again. It was not misogyny. America would vote for a female president. I doubt that there's the percentage of people who wouldn't vote for someone because they're a woman. And women run for office around the country again and again and again. The number of people who would not vote just because of your genitalia, I would assume, is very small. Very, very small. You didn't lose because we are a sexist country. We are not a racist country either. You're just an awful, awful example of a woman.
Which now, thankfully, we're kind of pulling out of the dark and talking about.
Shut up.
There was voter suppression.
No, there wasn't.
Trying to prevent other Americans from being able to vote.
Look at what? You're talking about voter ID in some states. Asking people to have an ID so my vote isn't stolen. So my vote isn't stolen. That's voter suppression.
There was the FBI's intervention.
James Comey let you off the hook. before any investigation could have been done.
October 28th, after I saw you, which had a devastating effect because, people thought, oh my gosh, I can't vote for somebody who's, once again under FBI investigation.
You've been under investigation for the last 40 years, you wretched, awful harpy from hell.
Even though there was, again, nothing to it. And then there were the Russians.
The Russians. Yeah, the Russians that you got $145 million from. The Russians that you got $145 million from in your foundation, in your global initiative that did nothing but make you rich.
Russians were much more involved than even I understood.
Unbelievable.
And so after the election and after the real devastating shock of it, I kept saying, well, what happened? Because I wanted to understand it.
Nowhere in there. I mean, this is pathological. It really is pathological. She's nuts. I did a podcast a while back called The Madness of Queen Hillary. She's nuts. Gosh, you just got to get over yourself. You're done. You're in the rearview mirror of history. You are done. You are done by the grace of God. You are finally done with politics. You awful, awful woman. Go away. Pretty cool story. There's a guy who goes to, who lives in Georgia near Atlanta, Kieran Christian Graham. He decided to get one of those Ancestry.com DNA tests, and I'm getting one. And I'm waiting for my results, thank you. His adoptive parents gave him an Ancestry DNA test kit as a Christmas present. Out of the 100 loose matches was a very strong match to a 29-year-old. Now, this guy's 20. And he found this guy, was named Vincent Gaunt. He'd also taken the DNA test. When Graham checked out his Facebook, he found that Vincent Gaunt, whose birthday matched the documents his adoptive parents had, he sent Gaunt a friend request, and they chatted on Tuesday. Graham mentioned the name of his birth mother, Sean. Gaunt said, "My heart stopped. I asked my mother about him throughout my life, but the pain was so heavy on her that it was hard for her to drum up the words to explain it to me. So it just got to the point where I was like, I'll just wait for her when she's ready," because she gave up a kid for adoption. Well, they have since talked. They learned they're not only brothers, but they were also attending the same college, Kennesaw State. Both majoring in political science, lived 15 minutes apart, and oddly enough, they also attended a class together. Graham had no hard feelings, understanding that his birth mother was a single parent and chose adoption to give him a better life. Graham has since contacted her birth mother, plans to meet her this weekend. Well, this last weekend. Said his birth father broke down in tears. Pretty cool. We'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna be so fortunate or whether. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Would kind of like to know. Well, I don't want to get involved in somebody's life, but I'd like to know where I came from. Grieving Deborah Parsons will have her mom, Doreen, for Christmas dinner this year by scattering her ashes on the turkey. Not kidding. Doreen has felt the urge to eat Doreen's ashes, or Deborah, I should say. Deborah Parsons has the urge to eat her mother Doreen's ashes since she died in May, and has a small spoonful most days to feel as close to her as possible. But as she faces Christmas without her, the craving comes even stronger. This woman's mentally ill. It's the only thing that will get me through my Christmas without Mum. People think I'm mad or that it's not a respectful thing to do, but I can't stop myself. I see it as a positive thing, allowing her to be close to me and also involving her in the family day. I feel like she can live on by being inside of me because she's part of me and can breathe through my body. Her breath, my breath is her breath. It will be my first Christmas without her, and I want her to be involved, and this is the only thing that feels right to me. She died, by the way, in May, suddenly. After the funeral and cremation, Deborah began to think what she would do with Doreen's ashes, but rejected the traditional idea of scattering them. Deborah, one of Deborah's two sisters who were unaware of her unorthodox ritual, delivered their share of the ashes to her home. So they divided the ashes between the three, and anyway, she said, at first I kept them in a sandwich bag. Then she started to want to eat them. She said, I don't know what made me do it the first time. It was just an urge. I can't describe it. Salty. I opened the box, licked my fingers, just dipped them into the powder. Dear Lord in heaven. Before I knew it, I was doing what I was doing. They were in my mouth, and the chalky, salty taste was comforting. I felt confused by what I had just begun to do with the feeling of comfort and closeness it brought was the first bit of solace I had since her death. But I don't want to just eat the ashes on my fingers. I'd like my mom to be part of the celebration this year, so I'll have her with my Christmas dinner. We'll have a place laid for her and a picture of her on the table so she can be with us every moment. Deborah's fiance, who did not want to be named because he's, engaged to a psycho, has supported her through the grief, and they plan to marry next year. Wow. Nuts. So, you want to remember history, and there we have some good history, we have some bad history, we have some racist history, and there's a restaurant in Lubbock, Texas called Cook's Garage. And there's an old blackface caricature. It's one of those old advertisements. And the words Coon Chicken Inn with a, big lips, black-faced person, Coon Chicken Inn. Picture of the sign was on social media, drew some outrage, called it racist and calling for it to be taken down. Yeah, it is pretty damn racist. Jasmine Abdullah, a resident of Lubbock, says, because I was thinking in this day and age, we are still having to deal with things like this. If we want to be remembered as a group of people, that is not how we want to be remembered. If you want a piece of history, of American history or African-American history up, there are tons of people you can have hanging up in your restaurant, not something derogatory. Cook's Garage defended itself on Facebook, saying it was meant to honor history and not meant to hurt anyone's feelings. Listen to this. Aunt Jemima, Mammies, and lots of other black collectibles are highly sought after, as is Americana collectibles with white characters. The Coon Chicken Inn was an actual restaurant started in the 20s. Again, we want to stress we do not intend to offend anybody, and we are only preserving a part of history that should remind us of all the senselessness of racial prejudice. Okay, whatever. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. If you don't like it. If they want to put it up, let it cost them business. Excuse me. CNN contributor is accusing a Georgetown student of anti-Semitism. Hillary Rosen was at a Georgetown Hoyas basketball game. They're playing Syracuse at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. Rosen, apparently on the lookout for anything she could deem offensive. She saw a guy in a bacon suit. It's a suit with the bacon theme. It's funny. And she tweeted, "This is a Georgetown Hoyas fans' anti-Semitic smear to the Syracuse team." Rosen even doubled down on her tweet when the game ended with the Syracuse win, asserting that bigots lose. The student in the suit, he's a junior, and his name is Michael Bacon. Bakan. He was shocked when friends started sending him screenshots of the tweet. He explained that the suit was a joke about his last name, which is pronounced Bacon. He said, "At first I thought it was a joke. The real way my name is pronounced is Bacon. That was the impetus behind the costume. I've worn it 3 games now." Bacon said he hasn't had issues wearing the suit in the past and would like to see the record set straight. Yeah, these are people who are looking to be offended. There's an industry in this country called big offense. It's worth millions of dollars. It's worth shutting down businesses and college campuses, and it's big offense. Bacon said, I've seen the number of followers Rosen has, the platform, so it was a bit disheartening. Rosen is a dumb piece of shit. New study of California youth found that more than 1 in 4 teens say their classmates view them as resisting dominant forms of gender expression, meaning they are gender nonconforming. 27%. Right. According to a new study out of UCLA, more than a quarter of California adolescents feel comfortable enough to dismiss societal pressures to identify one gender or the other. For the first time ever, the survey included a question for young people ages 12 to 17 about gender expression. Participants had to answer how they thought their classmates viewed them in terms of appearance, style, dress, and or the way they walk and talk. The answers range from very feminine to very masculine. From this, they were able to garner 27% or 796,000 California youth are gender nonconforming. This is just absolute crap. 21% were classified as androgynous, 6% as GNC, gender nonconforming. Unsurprisingly, the study found GNC youth were more likely to experience severe psychological stress compared to gender-conforming teens. This finding highlights the need to increase access to affirming mental health care and other supports, as well as to educate parents, schools, and communities on the mental health needs of gender non-conforming youth. This is such crap. The study was completed before they did the data. They already knew what they were going to come up with. California, considered one of the most progressive states in the country. Just last month, the state approved the use of LGBT inclusive history books in grades K through 8. The first and only state to realize the importance of allowing students from diverse backgrounds to see themselves reflected in what they learn at school. If you are not gender nonconforming, gay, LGBT, or otherwise, you are not diverse. You are not diverse. Diversity. Bianca Wilson is the Rabbi Barbara Zaki Taylor, or Zaki Senior Scholar, whatever the hell that is, of public policy at Williams Institute, and the lead of the study. Bianca, what the hell? Jeez. Says it makes sense for other states to assume that their youth populations are also diverse. The actual number may be slightly different, like maybe, I don't know, 26% off. There's no reason not to assume that they also have diverse gender expression among their student populations and youth populations. That needs to be taken into account. Says we need to look at all of our youth as much more diverse. Shut up with the diversity! She adds that for teens who are gender nonconforming, the data definitely sends a message you are not alone. You may not be alone, but it sure as hell isn't 27% of the population. Grassroots Group is saying that we need to get the Christmas back in retail. Got to do it. They're going to urge retailers to return Christmas to the rightful place in American culture. We celebrate us, U.S., co-founded by Bob Conti. Beverly Saslow says its mission is to bring attention to the retail stores, local governments, and other establishments who prohibit public displays of Christmas. Persuade them to say Merry Christmas again. They have a naughty and nice list of major stores who say Merry Christmas and customers and those who do not. 15% of Americans prefer retailers to use a non-religious greeting like Happy Holidays or Season's Greetings. Most of us like to hear Merry Christmas, and there's no offense in that. Would you like to hear some naughty and nice people? Naughty and nice? Okay, here they are. Academy Sports is naughty. 1-800-Flowers is nice. Barnes & Noble, naughty. Ace Hardware, nice. Dollar General, naughty. Banana Republic, nice. The Gap, naughty. Best Buy, nice. Office Depot, naughty. Books A Million, nice. Office Max, naughty. Cabela's, nice. PetSmart, naughty. Cracker Barrel, nice. Staples, naughty. Dick's Sporting Goods, nice. Victoria's Secret's been very naughty. But Dollar Tree is nice. Hobby Lobby, nice. Home Depot, nice. JCPenney is nice. And Joann Fabrics, nice. There you go. Finally, you're worried about porch pirates stealing presents off your porch? There's a guy who's put together a company called blankbox.com. What they have is they're going to give you a decoy package with a small, loud explosive inside. What it is that it's a 12-gauge shotgun blank. And basically, when you pick up the box, it detonates in the box. And if you've ever heard a 12-gauge shotgun go off, this won't be as loud because it's just the primer and there's no powder in it and whatnot. But it scares the crap out of you. Anyway, it's blankbox.com, blankbox.com. Jareem Barrow created the box. And I looked on their website and they said they won't be able to get these to you before like Christmas. It's going to be 14 days minimum because the orders are going through the ceiling. But again, it's blankbox.com, blankbox. I think it's a great idea. I work at home, so they don't mess with me. And I've got one of those doorbells. I got one of those Ring doorbells that records whoever's on the porch, and you can talk to people and freak them out. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing. All right, that's going to do it for the show today, guys. I want to thank you for joining me today. I would greatly appreciate it if you would share on social media. I'm going to be on this week in the mornings on YAY in Atlanta, WYAY in Atlanta, from 5 to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. 5 to 8 p.m. I'm on KYFI in Phoenix. Next week I'm on in the mornings on WLS from 6 in the morning, and then KFYI in the afternoon. And then hopefully I will have a job for the new year. please, if you wouldn't mind, cross your fingers and clasp your hands. I could really use it because I haven't had a job for a year. And my family deserves it. So thanks for joining me, guys. Have a glorious day. Join Liberty One TV right away. God bless you. Merry Christmas, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.